For pretty much all of history, our world has been built on one simple idea: middlemen. But what if? What if we just didn't need them anymore? A really powerful new idea is taking shape, one that could totally change the way we trust, transact, and, well, interact with each other.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. From the bank that moves your money to the social media platform where you share your ideas, almost everything you do is managed by some central gatekeeper. But why? And what if it didn't have to be that way?
Okay, so this really breaks it down, right? On one side, you've got the old way. It's all about asking for permission. You have to go through somebody else and just wait. But on the other side, there's this new decentralized way, and it's all about connecting directly. It's peer-to-peer, where you are in control.
Now, to really get where we're going, we first have to understand the world we're in right now. A world that is packed with middlemen and all the hidden costs that, well, come along for the ride.
So what even is a middleman? Well, it's pretty much any person or institution that stands between two parties to make something happen. And you see them everywhere. Banks handling our payments, brokers managing our trades, even governments issuing our IDs. They've always been the pillars of trust. Let's take something that should be simple, like sending money overseas. You'd think it's just you sending money to someone else, right? Nope, not even close. Your money bounces between all these different banks, and each one of them adds more time and takes a little slice. It's this tangled journey that explains why a simple transfer can take days.
And that whole tangled mess, it leads us right to the core problems. You've got high costs and crazy fees. You've got slow, frustrating delays. And they represent a single point of failure. If their server goes down, everything just stops. And even bigger than that, they concentrate a ton of power, which opens the door to censorship and abuse.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? This brings us to a really big idea: the great uncentering. It's all about a fundamental shift in power, away from the few and into the hands of the many.
So what does decentralization actually mean? Let's break it down. At its core, it's about spreading out control. Instead of one central person or company making all the rules, that power is shared across a whole network of people. The key takeaway? No one entity gets to have total control.
And when you put these two models side by side, the difference is just night and day. Centralization means you have one authority, which is also one single point of failure. It's fragile. But decentralization, it creates this resilient network with shared authority, all running on transparent rules that anyone can see.
So how is all this even possible? Well, the engine behind it all is something called the blockchain. Think of it like a shared digital notebook that everyone can see. Instead of one bank holding the official records, thousands of computers all over the world hold a copy. This makes it incredibly secure, transparent, and pretty much impossible to tamper with, which is why you don't need a middleman to verify things anymore.
And this isn't just some abstract theory either. Let's dive into how this idea is already out there in the real world, changing things as we speak.
Okay, so the place you're seeing this the most, where it's really exploded, is in the world of finance. It's called Decentralized Finance, or DeFi for short.
So what can you actually do with DeFi? Well, you can send money anywhere in the world without a bank. You can lend and borrow directly with other people. You can even earn interest on your digital assets. The whole thing is built on digital wallets that you control, which could open up financial services to anyone with an internet connection.
But here's the thing. This is so much bigger than just money. This core idea of cutting out the middlemen, it's starting to pop up everywhere, from how we buy and sell things, to how we govern ourselves, and even to how we think about owning things in a digital world.
But of course, a change this big is never that simple. The stakes are incredibly high, so we really have to look at both sides of the coin, the promise and the peril.
Let's start with the promise, and honestly, it's huge. By taking out the middleman, we're talking about lower costs and way more transparency. Decisions can be automated and happen in an instant. But maybe most importantly, it gives you, the user, more control and ownership, which is unleashing this incredible wave of innovation. But, and this is a big but, we have to be real about the dangers. The tech is still super new, which means, yeah, there are security risks and hacks. The space has definitely seen its share of scams and fraud, and governments around the world are still trying to figure out how to handle it. It all really comes down to this. With more power comes way more personal responsibility.
So where does all this leave us? What's the future of trust going to look like in this new user-owned world? Let's take a peek.
A lot of people are calling this Future Web 3.
Think of it as the next chapter of the internet. If the internet we grew up with was all about giant companies owning the platforms, Web3 is all about an internet owned by its users, where you control your own data, your own identity, and your own digital stuff.
And in this new world, we're even inventing brand new ways to, well, organize ourselves. Take a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. Imagine a company with no CEO, no board of directors. Instead, it runs on code, and all the big decisions are made by its members through voting. It's a pretty wild new way to get things done together. Which leaves us with this final, massive question. For basically all of human history, trust has been built on institutions, banks, governments, authorities. What on earth happens to our world when trust is no longer defined by people in suits, but by transparent, open code that anyone can check? That, right there, is the huge shift we're all living through right now.